The CEO walked the cold streets in disguise, searching for the truth about his company's impact. But when he met a homeless man shivering on a park bench, he never expected the conversation that would change both of their lives forever. The biting wind cut through the city streets as Daniel Carter adjusted the worn-out hoodie around his shoulders. His usual tailored suits and luxury office were miles away. Tonight, he was just another face in the crowd, an ordinary man lost in the city's chaos. As the CEO of Carter Industries, a billion-dollar corporation known for its community outreach programs, Daniel had heard the reports. His company's charitable funds were supposed to be helping the homeless, but something wasn't adding up. Despite millions in donations, people were still suffering. So he decided to find out for himself. He walked aimlessly, blending in with the night, observing everything: the overflowing shelters, the struggling food banks, the faces of those society had forgotten. And that's when he saw him. A frail man, bundled in tattered blankets, sitting alone on a park bench. His face was weathered, his hands trembling from the cold as he clutched a half-eaten sandwich wrapped in greasy paper. Daniel hesitated for a moment, then walked over and sat on the other end of the bench. The man barely acknowledged him, his tired eyes fixed on the ground. "Cold night, huh?" Daniel said, rubbing his hands together for warmth. The man let out a dry chuckle. "Cold is an understatement," he muttered. "But you get used to it." Daniel studied him closely. There was something about the man, his posture, the way he spoke. It didn't match the broken, defeated look most carried after years on the streets. "You new around here?" Daniel asked. The man shook his head. "Been here longer than I care to admit. Name's Henry." He exhaled, his breath visible in the icy air. "Had a job once, a family. But life has a way of pulling the rug out from under you." Daniel leaned in. "What happened?" Henry hesitated before answering. "Lost my wife to cancer. Bills piled up. I tried to keep up, but I fell behind. Then I lost my house, then my job, and just like that, I became invisible." He let out a bitter laugh. "Funny thing is, I used to work for Carter Industries. Good company, back when they actually cared." Daniel's chest tightened. "What do you mean?" Henry sighed. "They had this program, helped employees in tough times, loans, housing assistance, job placement, saved lives. Then a few years ago, all that just stopped. They still talk a big game, but trust me, they don't help guys like me anymore." Daniel's jaw clenched. He had no idea his company had abandoned the very people it claimed to help. He had signed off on budgets, approved donations, but where had the money actually gone? Looking at Henry, Daniel realized this wasn't just about business anymore. It was personal. "You ever try reaching out for help?" Daniel asked, masking his frustration. Henry scoffed. "Plenty of times. They give you a hotline, some paperwork, and a polite rejection letter. The system's broken, my friend. People like me, we don't stand a chance." Daniel felt a lump in his throat. He had built Carter Industries with the dream of making a difference. If Henry was telling the truth, then somewhere along the way, his vision had been twisted, corrupted. He wasn't just going to fix it. He was going to make it right. But first he had to start with Henry. "Listen," Daniel said, his voice firm. "What if I told you things were about to change?" Henry gave him a weary look. "I'd say you're either crazy or full of false hope." Daniel smiled. Maybe a little of both. What Henry didn't know, by tomorrow, his life was going to be completely different. The next morning, Henry woke up expecting another day of struggle. But as he sat outside the same cafe, something unusual happened. A sleek black car pulled up in front of him, and out stepped Daniel, except this time he wasn't wearing the ragged clothes from the night before. He was in a tailored suit, his presence commanding. Henry's eyes widened. "What the—" Daniel walked over and handed him an envelope. "Open it." With shaking hands, Henry tore it open, revealing a key, a bank card, and an address. His breath caught in his throat. "That's a fully furnished apartment," Daniel explained. "The card has enough to get you back on your feet. And if you're willing, there's a job waiting for you at Carter Industries." Henry's head spun. "Why? Why would you do this for me?" Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. "Because last night, you showed me something I had forgotten. What it means to truly struggle. And I realized I have the power to change that." Tears welled up in Henry's eyes. He had been invisible for so long, surviving in a world that barely acknowledged him. But today, for the first time in years, someone saw him. As Henry gripped the key in his hand, he knew this wasn't just charity. It was a second chance. And Daniel? He walked away with a new mission, one that would change not just Henry's life, but the lives of countless others. Because being a CEO wasn't just about running a company, it was about making a difference where it mattered most.